On this episode, I'm looking forward to speaking with Nadjm. He is a prominent figure in the social media industry. He is currently the global generative AI for marketing practice head at the Tata Consultancy Services, an IT services consulting and business solutions organization. Maz was the founder of Somazi, a social media agency that helps organizations develop strategic solutions for their social media needs, which he actually would later acquired. Maz has held several notable positions in the past. He did AI marketing director for AI marketing at Wipro Limited. He was the director of social media at TSL Education, the largest network of teachers in the world. He was also the head of social media for the UK Ogilvy Group agencies, where he was responsible for developing and delivering social media growth opportunities for the agencies and their clients. He was also responsible for Sky's online social media strategy, which led to a 200% increase in engagement on Sky Portal sites within the year of his appointment. He has also launched the New Times online commenting system and served as social media advisor to several News Corp units, including News International, Star TV, Sky Italy, and Fox TV channels. He has advised Chelsea FC and British Forces Broadcasting Services. Welcome, Maz. Pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me on board. And what an awesome introduction. Very, very kind.
That's it. We're done. So, Maz, you've had really quite an impressive journey in social media strategy. Like we said, from leading, various initiatives at Ogilvy and Sky and so on. But I'm curious, can you share with us your personal aha moments and what initially led you or drew you to the world of social media and customer engagement?
I've been a nerd all my life. That's the first thing. And I've been in technology before getting into this field. I was programming. I wasn't the best programmer, but I was doing programming, I was doing product management, and so on. And for those of us who are old enough to remember, there was one of the first social networks, if not the first one, was called Friendster. It came out around 2002, 2003, I think. And when I saw it, I thought, there's something that is happening here. There's something that is very exciting. You have technology, and then you allow people to be social, to have a conversation, to engage. I was frankly fascinated by it. And obviously, you saw from Friends there, it came to MySpace, and that just exploded. And I knew there's something here. We human beings are very sociable, some of us more than the others. And the fact that it enabled us to connect, that was it for me ever since 2003. That's been my bread and butter and passion area.
That's great. So, when did you realize you're a nerd? I want to know, how did you know you were a nerd?
Obviously, I was playing computer games and so on, but I'm not sure if that's a definition of being a nerd, but I just simply loved it. And then there was a movie called Sneakers by Robert Redford and Dan Aykroyd, where they talked about technology and information highway and so on. I saw it and I thought, for the rest of my life, this is what I would love to do, where you can, help people to engage large volume of information, right information being transferred between people and so on. I guess that makes you a little bit nerdy.
So, you've been involved with social media for a long time, and I'm curious, what do you think people still miss out on or don't quite understand about social media in terms of the top three things they really don't quite understand, even to this day?
I think they're fair assumptions, and you try to understand and then respect it and say how you can respond to that. Many a times we say social is not for me, or social is not for my business, or social is not relevant for our industry. We're talking about 5 to billion people on social media. So we're talking about 500 million daily conversations. It's quite a broad assumption. It's not for me, it's not for us. The second biggest challenge is to this day that I'm looking at it, how do you make insight for value chain? What's being said there is not just for the cool kids, it's not just for the fashions and cool sports brands and so on. That there is a community, there are conversations for everyone, and I think getting relevant insight from this world for value chain, that is still the biggest challenge. Third one I would imagine is the integration of the insight. Many organizations, you see them having a market research team, social listening team. it's quite sporadic. You're talking about a media that is extremely vibrant. People are talking about it, yet the insight sits in a different area. The insight is semi independent. I'm not saying all organizations, but the silo aspect of it is also an interesting.
I think what I'm hearing is kind of interesting because most people often think of social media as another way of advertising. But I think what I'm hearing from you is not only that it's engagement, but it's also gaining insights and in terms of feedback and stuff from your audience. Is that what I'm hearing?
Phenomenal solution, phenomenal platform to get insight and understanding. We don't go to a company CRM and talk about our feelings. We don't go to a company CRM and say, my family situation has changed. I'm a dad now. I have less money, more money. I have kids now, and so on. It takes such a large energy in order to get that information from the customer. Yet you have the social environment where we voluntarily share about our challenges, what we love, what we don't love in a passionate way, image, video, etc., where we're very much used to it. So, long answer to your question, there's so much extremely good amount of insight there. Of course, it's a fantastic area to get insight about what our customers, possible customers, are saying.
So I'm curious, what percentage would you say you use social media for insights versus advertising versus engagement? If you had to give me kind of a rough idea, 'cause I'm sure it varies by project and client, but I'm just curious.
No, it's a bit challenging on that, to be honest. I think many a times some people are voyeurs. If I say that, they just do the social listening and what's being said about me and so on. And I'm generalizing, are putting a heavy focus on the engagement for marketing purposes and so on and so on. But the insight for value chain, perhaps less in that aspect.
So before we get into it, tell me, how do you define insight yourself?
I love that question. I think it's a relevancy to the challenge and relevancy to the audience that you're talking to. That's good insight to me. So if you kindly think about in an organization, you have product development, innovation, employment, and so on. So multidiscipline. For me, social insight is a multidiscipline effort and it can feed into all of that. So understand it. If it relates to those business objectives, that's good insight. And of course, coming from the customer and the right audience and the relevant audience is good insight to me. I would look at those two areas to define it as good insight.
So let's assume I'm going to give you a project. We're going to be launching a female lipstick line. I just want examples of how you would start going down the path of the insights for this new women's lipstick cosmetic line. And it's a combination of lipstick and gloss. Let's make it a duo. And I'll throw in another kicker. Let's assume it's vegan based.
I understand that. Wow. Okay. Love that. Love that. Absolutely. So I would give the answer respectfully to this to any other like we get in you get questions and in my past years you've had more interesting ones. Let's say that I think the best place I would go at is actually go and start listening to this audience, folks who are starting talking about the product, talking about the product and vegan, just for me to understand, to internalize what's being said. Uh, the voice of the customer, that's the best place to go to. You don't even need to talk to the brand. You don't need to talk to the company who does PR and so on. Just go there. It's real. It's raw. It's incredible amount of insight about what people say, do, and how passionate they are about it, and in what context they use it. That's the immediate action I would do so that it can help me prioritizing and so on and so on. And it can, of course, break it down. But that's the source for me.
And have you learned there's certain things you're looking for? Are you looking for pain points? You're looking for compliments? I mean, what does that really start standing out to you after a while?
I have a love for the concept and they hate for the concept, which are very extremes. It's not always comes down to that. But what do they love about it, and what do they dislike about it? I guess in principle, the conversation where and who are the folks who move the needle around these topics. I think you're looking for these spots, the passion and the sentiment, and to what degree, where they're talking about it, and what type of topics, so that you can see who is it, how are they engagement? Who do you talk to? Who's the audience? And then where do you need to talk to them?
And then where do you go from there? Once you start looking at the voice of the customer, I assume you're going to like to reviews and where they purchase and leave reviews and things like that. That's what you're talking about, correct?
You go for reviews, what they love about it. Absolutely. Reviews are always interesting. Even ourselves, when we want to buy something, we go to the likes of Trustpilots or Amazon reviews or Airbnb. And then, of course, you can question the quality of the review, which I appreciate it. But I think that vibe is really interesting. What people like, what they dislike, and what they would like to change about it, and so on. Those stuff can then formulate. And then, of course, you've got to understand from a brand point of view how they have engaged, what they've said. But I think what is it? They always say, learn how to speak to the customer in their own language. The more you understand from the problem statement, that's a principle here. On the back of that, then we can create a plan of engagement and so on. Yeah.
Can you give me an example of when you started doing this for a project and how it really changed the trajectory right away when you started, pursuing these initial insights, or in terms of where you thought you were going to be, where you were headed, and then these insights completely changed the trajectory of your approach?
I'm going to give you two examples. It's like one was with a bank and about a banking app about banking in a household and so on. So there's some generalization who keeps the money and who doesn't. When we started looking online, it came about budgeting, house budgeting. Then it came about the top of cost. Then it was about the word woman came up quite a lot. And there's certain generalization here, but social data doesn't lie in that aspect. The insight is happening. We look at women, and then from then on, we went to the path of Halloween decoration, and then from then on, we looked at really awesome, extremely smart bloggers who, in day life, they are directors or they're accountants, and these women kind of share thoughts, and their moms as well. So we could see what's being discussed, what's the largest topic, what channels, and who are they even listening to. They brought that. Another example I want to share with you was around the chocolate tableau, right? Around the chocolate tableau. Now, I had some thoughts on this, but when we started looking at social, the largest word that came up was airport. We all buy Toblerones at the airport. I can't remember the last time I got it from the Tesco's and the Sainsbury's. Like, it makes those immediately, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll do exactly like that. So there are some trivial and there's some very obvious and there's surprises, which I love about the surprise. Oh, I didn't know about this audience or this group. I didn't know this is how they share about it.
And then how often from there do you actually go and talk to customers, like do primary research with them, or do you mostly stay in the secondary research realm?
The more knowledge you have, I think it's better. So combining and what is it they say that 360 view, there are companies who do focus groups to interviews to surveys to so on. If it's needed and you can go beyond that, then obviously you can make a judgment. But from there's also the trial period of how you engage, and you can decide you're engaging on a smaller scale versus you go into a larger scale and so on. But I think it can certainly help prioritizing many of the points and filtering out many other points that are not needed, perhaps in those initial phases.
So then what aha moments led you to AI?
As you can see, I talk a lot, and my teachers used to always say you have 2 years, one map, use it in a ratio. So the aspect of marketing and technology, like with social, when you mix the two disciplines, is just phenomenal. So then we come to AI, which helps you to scale. But that's the part that was interesting to me, that it could take it to a level that is humanly not possible. How do you optimize it? How do you utilize it? Yeah.
Now that you're in AI, what are the three things that people don't really still understand about AI?
I think there's God knows how much it is that I don't understand, and I'm still a student, to be honest, because it's phenomenal concept. As you know, Gen AI is more than a year old or year young, as you can imagine. So I think what can it do for me can be an interesting one. It's still not touchable. Let me say that I think it's very interesting when you go to ChatGPT or when you go to Copilot or any other, the type of questions that they want us to ask to give us an indication. It says, what type of food should I make? Or where should I go on holiday? Extremely basic questions, yet you have one of the smartest things in front of you. It's like asking Einstein, whatever it is you want to do. But it's challenging for us to go, for me, if I speak to myself, oh, wow, what can it do for me? And is it possible? I think those are the areas that are still unknown. And it needs to be tangible and you can feel it. Then we know more.
And give me some examples of how you're actually starting to use it now throughout your, daily work.
There is the personal aspect of it, which is the knowledge, understanding, and so on. There are, there's a website called There's an AI for that, and it's just phenomenal volume of. I'm just curious. I just love to try and see how we go at it from a kind of in projects and customers and so on. Three things I'm looking at: can we automate? Can we simplify? And how can we bring additional intelligence into the whole process? That's the principle of it, and see where it's making sense.
And so, what areas of AI are you looking into even more now that you're into it?
For me personally, due to the nature of the background, it's marketing efforts. Before GenAI came, I love working with chatbots. They have certain functions, what you call standard automation. Respond to this, do that, and quality assure. Save thousands of hours, hundreds of hours. What I do love about GenAI is how do we look at intelligent automation for marketing purposes? Can I understand the customer better? Can I engage with them better and faster? How can I categorize and prioritize? And of course, internally, you're looking at the operations that are happening. Can we simplify those operations when it comes to I respond faster, I can engage better, better quality? Those are the areas.
AI stands for artificial intelligence, but I often wonder. I always think it seems like it's all right now at the current stage. It's more automated intelligence. Would you say that's more the case that we're talking about large amounts of data that we can process quickly? It's more automated intelligence, or actually, do you think we're getting to artificial intelligence?
I appreciate the question. I think the automation is certainly there. I think I love that question. I think it's the line of automation to the intelligence. We are all surprised how amazingly sometimes humans in AI can be when it answers, well, I think this or I think that. Or you can have the voice conversation with ChatGPT. It's like, oh my God, that's pretty phenomenal. But I think it's still a long way to go. So it understands us, it contextualize and personalize. It needs a relevant volume of data so that it can be more contextualized, more humanized in that aspect. But I think Gen AI certainly has come a long way for sure.
Because to me, artificial intelligence will actually be incorporating the emotional aspects of decision making and intelligence, and that's where I'm not sure how much of that is actually being incorporated now. What's your sense?
I wouldn't all about it because there's a lot of science and good knowledge about it. But this is the thing. What I love to do is it ready to be trained to be more human? Does it have room to understand us better and to understand human beings better? I think you've had artificial intelligence where there's a lot of standard automation and so on. They come into Gen AI, then it's tried to speak more like a human, a lot better due to the volume of data. Then we need to go one more step so that it understands us better and faster. Let me say this so I'm succinct about it. So you have apps from help me, from a relationship. They need to talk to you, they need to understand you, and then they need to give you response. How do we speed that up so that it understands the situations better? I think it's that type of humanizing that I think is interesting.
Interesting. So, what are some of the aha moments you've had now with AI that you've been, immersing yourself in it?
What I love about it is that if you teach it, if you educate it with the most relevant data, how quickly it can come back with something contextualized is phenomenal. But of course, for that, it needs to have the relevant data, large volume. We hear about hallucinations, we hear about limitations. For the goodness, I think once you've done that and it gives you an answer that is contextualized and you go, yeah, that's it. I say this in a silly way. It's like, when comedians come, hey, who's from town? And somebody says, yeah, this immediately try to connect and you and I have something in common. So for me, it's interesting when you get the Gen AI to be humanized and then it speaks your language almost, it understands your challenges. That's like, wow. And I've seen it, we've done it, and it's like pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I've actually used it recently for some brand naming exercises and also even comparing two different brand names. And it gave, the pros and cons, which are quite succinct and quite accurate. It gave quite an interesting perspective on it. Yeah, for sure. So, what area do you see yourself delving into more in AI that you'd like to learn more about?
I have always been a huge fan of a voice of the customer or voice of people, our context and emotion about certain things. That's why I've always loved social media, because it's supposed to be as real, or we are meant to be more real over there, or we are more real over there than in a survey, than in a conversation with the brand and so on. So then we come into Gen AI, which can scale things phenomenally. But it's still, for me, can I understand a large group of people at speed, at scale? Can I understand a segment at speed, at scale? Can I communicate with them better? Really hyper personalization. I think those are the areas that these are wish lists. I wish I had that when you're leading a team of 20 people and they speak the right language, engage in the right way, and you have that knowledge already. If we can scale that and speed that up, I think that's pretty phenomenal.
Is there anything about AI that scares you?
Absolutely. People. That's the part that scares me. You're thinking about, those 3D printouts. It came, they talked about hospital instruments and other components and so on. Immediately, somebody did a gun. Immediately somebody printed a gun. So, the checks and balances needs to be in place for sure. I think checks and balances are really important. We have seen shortcomings of AI in the past. Maybe certain parts of the world is more engaged than the other parts. So does it understand that? Does it understand that language, tonality, and so on? That side of it, I think, is certainly improvement. But the scaring part is the people and how they will use it. We hear about fake and we hear about all those stuff. So hopefully, social media, when it came, it was pretty open, wild west in that aspect. Then people said checks and balances, and from a government, from law, from all sorts of stuff. And I envisage with this, it needs to happen as fast, if not faster, too.
There's this fear that often people talk about with AI that it's going to replace humans and stuff. Do you find that that's the case, or do you find that basically to use AI properly, you actually need good humans to ask it the right questions?
I think so. I think every some few years there are things that changes the way we live and work. Now, on a slightly serious, you're looking at Second World War, the way technology came into place because of what happened, and then after that we haven't looked back. The way radio was used and the radars and all of the stuff. So it changed life. Then you're looking at autopilot. You cannot fly a plane without a pilot, but certainly it eases so they can focus on other things and so on. Digital and technology moving fast, but I do believe it will have an impact on the workforce. They're talking about some of the tasks that we are doing might change. Let's face it, when the robots in car companies, manufacturing came, they replaced, unfortunately, a certain workforce. Whether we like it or not, there's going to be a shift of that. But certainly, you need the human beings to do that. Digital camera reduces many of the components, but you still need that awesome photographer to be able to do what they do.
So, how are you using AI to uncover insights from the customer discovery stage?
So I think the way you're looking at it, if you have the relevant data and it's available, then I think the things that are interesting to me, patterns, trends, uh, sensitive touch points, and so on. And frankly, things that would take 10 people to do a long time to get something, if it can be done in a faster way, I think is really interesting. But um, you're respectfully also asking, like, which I love the question, is like, what's the relevant insight, which depends on the task that we have. We need to understand this group better so we can communicate with them. And maybe in locations that we're not even there, that we don't even speak those languages and we can understand that. Fantastic.
So, what do you see the future of AI in 5 years? How is it going to change, let's say, social media, marketing, uh, all of that?
I'm curious about that, to be honest, as the next person to see what's going on. But the way we are looking at the path of how you can create imagery and how you can create content fast, how you can create a whole video and put the whole thing together. So a single person can do 20x that person in regards to what they're doing, at least from an engagement and so on. I think the quality still will be there. We human beings, we differentiate maybe between AI and reality or not. and how that's being checked. So let me take a step back and be succinct. I think the way we do things, the scale of it is going to be, we're going to be able to do things faster. I think we're going to be able to produce the type of things that we weren't able to do or at a faster time. I think the quality of this will be interesting. Will be interesting to see how it's being done. Yeah.
Interesting. So I want to ask you, if you were to have lunch or dinner with anyone in your industry, who would it be and why?
Oh my, that's like, I think you cannot, from a social media point of view, you have to sit and talk to Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, the guy is just phenomenal. I have been there, done that, from a social media point of view, from a business point of view, from execution point of view. He must be very phenomenal human being, very interesting. I've no doubt there's great advisors around him, but the way it has been done, I would love to sit down and understand it, because they have to bring technology. They have to think ahead. And here you are dealing with it's the largest platform out there where you have so many people engaged. So yeah, that would be a human being I would love to sit down and talk to for sure.
So what's the one question you'd love to ask him and get the answer to?
That's what I was telling you. When you have a ChatGPT in front of you, and the question is, what do you make your food? I don't know. I guess I would love to know his three priorities right now. His three priorities in life when he wakes up in the morning. And I'm not talking about family. I respect that. And so on. But purely from a work, from what he's doing at the Meta and so on, his three priorities right now that day to day gets him up in a true and honest way, not in shareholder reporting and so on. It might be the same. I'm not questioning, but I would love to do that.
Well, I want to thank you for a lot of the insights you're sharing with us and your journey. And I find this AI very interesting. And I have a feeling you and I may have to talk again and you'll have to catch me up on AI and what's going on.
Would be my pleasure.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Getting to AHA was brought to you by iResearch. To find out more about us, head to iResearch.com and make sure to search for Getting to AHA in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else podcasts are found. And don't forget to click follow to ensure you don't miss any future episodes. Thank you for listening.